All right, so let's go ahead and go on over to ProxyBonanza.com, and here's another one of my best practices tips. If you click on their blog tab and scroll down to their March 7th post, you'll see right here that Proxy Bonanza claims that they no longer support using their proxies with ScrapeBox because they got too many abuse complaints. So please pay very close attention because I don't want you messing this up for all of the rest of us who use Proxy Bonanza with ScrapeBox. Yes, you can use their proxies with ScrapeBox. Just be very smart with your usage. Pay very close attention to the best practices tips that I go over throughout all of these modules, and you'll be all right. You don't even have to worry about it. Proxy Bonanza's got a real good service, and they got some real good pricing, and I've been pretty much using them all year and haven't had any problem. And here's how I use them. First of all, if you click on this special offers tab right here, you'll see that they've got some real good deals. I've got the 260 proxy package for $59 a month. And you definitely probably not sure about your usage, but you probably don't need that many. I'm just an industrial strength scraper. So I actually have 10 more exclusive proxies over at YourPrivateProxy.com. So a handful of proxies should do it for you. I mainly use Proxy Bonanza for my scraping purposes. And then when it comes time to post, I use YourPrivateProxy.com. So if you choose to get Proxy Bonanza's proxies, harvest some open proxies from within ScrapeBox and use those to do all of your heavy lifting and all of your dirty work. And then when it comes time for your posting, use your use your Proxy Bonanza proxies, because 260 private proxies for $59 a month is a damn good deal. And I hate to lose it because they've decided to abandon all ScrapeBox users indefinitely. But however, I don't see how they can do that. But just be smart with your posting and be smart with your scraping, and you'll be all right. Now let me show you how to properly import your IP addresses or proxies into ScrapeBox and format them with your username and your password. The first thing that you want to do, of course, is log into ProxyBonanza.com. And if you take a look right up here, you'll see that you have the option for either HTTP or SOCKS. And let's just go ahead and start with the SOCKS proxies for this tutorial. And just FYI, I always use the HTTP proxies. I'm just going to start with the SOCKS proxies because they need to be formatted in a certain way in order to import them into ScrapeBox. And it's one of the longest steps. So I'm not going to format all 260 of my proxies. I'm just going to use a few for these tutorial purposes. First thing that you want to do is highlight your proxies and copy them. Now let's go on over to ScrapeBox, and we want to open up the ScrapeBox text editor, and we can do that by pressing Ctrl+T. Or you can go up here to Tools and select ScrapeBox text editor. Now let's paste in our proxies into the text editor, and next we want to highlight the beginning portion of the IP address, including this period. Next, we want to press Ctrl+R, or you can go up here to Edit and scroll down to Replace. And the reason that we highlighted the 173 portion is because, as you can see here, ScrapeBox has auto-populated the 173 dot into the Find What section for us automatically. Now, what we want to do is we want ScrapeBox to find all 173 dots and replace it with capital S 173 dot. And the reason that we're putting the S in front of the 173 is to let ScrapeBox know that we're using SOCKS proxies. You only need to put the S in front of your proxy string if you're using SOCKS. And remember, for this tutorial right here, we're just using the SOCKS proxies. So what we want to do next is go ahead and click on Replace All, and you'll see the ScrapeBox has made all of the replacements. Now, we aren't done yet because we need to include our username and password into this proxy string. Next, we want to choose everything from the colon and the port number. The last 5 digits of that IP string is your port number, by the way. So let's go ahead and highlight that and choose Ctrl+R. And we want to add our username at the end of that port number. We do that first by copying everything in the Find What box and pasting that into the Replace With box and adding a colon plus our username, another colon, and our password. And then press Replace All. Now we have the proper formatting for ScrapeBox to recognize our SOCKS proxy string. And now you can save it to your hard drive. Once you've saved it, we can now exit out of that. Now we can go and load that list into our proxy area by clicking on load, navigating to where you saved those proxies and loading them. ScrapeBox is going to ask you if you want to test the proxies and remove unresponsive proxies. This mainly is important for when you're scraping open proxies within ScrapeBox. Shared private proxies typically have a good response time already, and most likely there aren't any duplicates to remove. But if you want to test your private proxies, you can do that because it only takes about a minute to do. And for this tutorial, of course, I'm going to walk you through the entire process. Now let's go ahead and click on yes. And as you can see here, we now have a Y down the socks column. ScrapeBox now knows that we're using socks proxies. So let's click on test proxies, and it's going to test to see if our proxies are still alive. And then it's going to measure the access time in milliseconds, and it's going to test to see if your IP address is leaking. And what that basically means is with some open proxies, they will leak your real IP address. So you might think that you're hiding behind a proxy, but you really aren't. And when you go out to the internet, let's just say Google for this instance, and you go out to Google and harvest some URLs, Google is still able to see your real IP address. So ScrapeBox is smart enough to test that. Don't you just love ScrapeBox?